So excuse the mess. I'm working on mounting the Radian inverter next to breaker here in the garage. So the first part you get is the mounting plate. There's 6 screws that come with it. Ends here are going directly into the studs, and plywood here in the middle is actually optional. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and secure fasten these 2 here, fuzzy camera, which are the optional interior here. So got this part lined up off a double stud, and those screws going in. It's gonna mount with the lip out here. So as you bring the Radian up, you can see that there's a little small lip for it to catch. All right, so I'm gonna get the last 2 screws in, and then I'll put the Radian up. Last screw is up, and I have this up a little bit higher just to get it off of the floor. I'm gonna end up moving my juice box electric charger, and it's gonna be feeding out of the bank here. So I'll have to move everything over. All right, so the beast is up. Ended up using my step stool here. I mounted it entirely too high, but I wanted the inputs to all be eye level, at least with me. Pretty tall, of course, but still. One person by themselves most likely will not be able to lift this up as high unless you weigh as much as this thing, which is about 200 plus pounds. Maybe right at 200, give or take. All right, so now that we're mounted, the next part is securing with the board here. Of course, the only thing that's keeping this up is that it's held on to the lip, kind of as a clasp down. So you're gonna put some screws there to help support, keeps any kind of lateral vibrations away. The top here of the load center, so if you're looking at it, I think there's a few variations. Right-sided open. The screws here you're gonna take out, so 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So with the top off, what you're gonna do is you insert each screw here, and you're gonna slide forward. It's gonna secure into the slots here, and then once you get the front face back open, we're gonna screw everything back in with some quick screws there for the lateral movement. And these are, of course, into the stud as well. Right, so after you loosen up the screws at the bottom, of course, you slide it forward, you're gonna hear a little bitty click, and that just means that it's secured in place. And just so you can see, there's plenty of room to put as many screws as you want on the back side going across. And let's see, let's start opening some things up here. So here, I'm gonna take off the door and front face. So the door is a little hard to maneuver. You're going to pull all the way out, and of course you'll have to clear the top side here. As you lift, this is just going to come out of the slots there. Okay, so door is off. Now we're gonna take all 6 screws from each side and open up the front face. So screws are out. Keep in mind that for each corner, the lower corner here, as well as this one, you have grounding screws for the front face. So just watch out for these. And we're just gonna move it to the side. I'm keeping everything close. Front panel, just gonna take it off. And here's our inside. So directly inside, you'll see the mounting hose for the load center, one on each side. I'm not going to mount that part just yet. As you can tell, it lines up to go directly through the studs as well if you got your first bracket on right, and everything's good left to right, and you're drilling directly into your studs here. The breakers are not your conventional breakers for the house. I can even think of the proper Siemens or the other breakers. Let me try to find one. These have the wiring where you screw it on with the lugs. Just to double back, your 4 bolts here to screw and mount everything up. Of course, you would get this on, draw your lines, and then go directly into the studs, holding the brackets with these here, the anchors. All right, so just a example of the breakers here with the lugs on the back side, 30 amp, and essentially you're going to remove the screws here, find your slot that you want to use. I believe they have this 30 amp for the what is it called, the AC couple for solar. So you would mount it in, take the screws off, of course, and then you would connect your wiring to the back side. And it's hard to tell there, but they're all wired up, lugged. There's some extra wiring here off the 50 breakers. So front face is off. All the screws are out, lifted on, so I wouldn't mess up anything. The ribbons, of course, are just right here. And for the mounting bracket, there's 2 locations on the left side that you can mount it. You're gonna line up the hose, and then you can use the knockout. I believe the one up higher here, you wouldn't knock out the hole here, but this one here, you just put the grommet in and feed your cable through, your Ethernet cable. Taking your bracket, hose on the side here, taking your longer screws, and you're lining everything up so that your connections are through the opening here. And I'm gonna get the rest of the screws on. All right, so mate 3S is up. I have my Ethernet in, grommet here running through, and I ended up not being able to use the original screws. For whatever reason, my mount is, these holes here don't line up with any of the selection here. So I'm using these, and I may have to reverse them and put a locking washer and lug on the outside, because right now, as you can see, I have the actual nut coming through, and it's not really super sharp, but it's not intended to be this way here. It's supposed to be the other way around, and I think for whatever reason, they just don't line up. So short form here, hardest part, of course, mounting, lining everything up, slowly plugging everything in, and then we'll run some wiring, connect some batteries, and go from there. So let's try to see where we left off. Mounted this one here with 8/32 screws and bolts lined up there. Caps going through, connected to the back here. So probably wait to do that. The neutral is going up, punch the hole out through the top here, got the ground going up, and getting ready to loosen this connection here. The bus bars are going to go up. Let's see where we are. So I have this one here. So far, I didn't put the washers and everything there. I'm just getting my bolts right where I need them. This one here is going to sit here after we take this nut out here, and it attaches here. So it's gonna sit kind of like this, and that'll complete the upper inverters and the load center connection. So undoing, and I'll get all this going here with my washers and everything. This one's a 14 millimeter. All right, so got one more washer to go. Washer and lug to go. So get everything lined up. This one, gonna move this one in. All right, so you got 14 millimeter here. The ones up top, I'm gonna use my pass-through socket 13 milliliter to get these far right to, which they're a little bit tougher. All right, everything's tightened down, all my lugs. And next, I'm gonna go ahead and install my 30 amp breaker for the inverter. I'm not connecting this one yet. I'm just gonna get the knockouts in place. So I'm gonna put it at the very bottom, knock these two out, finish taking these screws out here, and then they'll sit just like this one after you take them out and mount it on the back side. And this is how it looks on the back side. What you would do is, if you can see here, probably can't, let's see, get a light here. All right, so we are good here. Tightened it up a little bit. And let's see, that's good, nice and in place. Next, I'm gonna work on getting the lines or other lines up through. As for the, let's see if we can find a good view here. So, have these breakers come back down and loop into the other one. The ground bars here, what do they call them? Terminal bus bars. But you have two hiding up top here, which we're going to bring these. This is the AC out. These two that are hiding. So we're gonna run these up through the grommet. Forgot one part. I'm missing my, I think it's a 5/8 nut here at the top off of this one. So I'm gonna have to go to the parts store, get that one, and go from there. Up top, I'm gonna go ahead and make my grounding connection. This is just the ground that comes through to the top. And I guess I should finish undoing one of these here. Grab not that one. me a flat head. This is actually the screw that keeps it down. That's what I get for having it up so high. All right, let's go. So connections made, and I realize I have not used any no-aux on anything. I do have some copper connections down low. I'm gonna have to go back and correct that once I get this in the location that I'm putting it. All right, so we have our AC out and neutral. I'm gonna go ahead and connect those. First wiring that goes up, the shorter wire are gonna go into, it says line 1, line 2. Neutral will go into the far right. And this is the neutral that is just sitting here at the bottom, already in the box. Next, where is it? We are going to take the first two here. This is from the grid. So it's going to go through the grommet up top. You can make more openings if you like. And now I'm just going to go to the line 1, line 2 of the grid there. So after you have them all in, if you notice the tab is up on the first two, you're just going to hit them down, and it locks or snaps them in place so they don't just yank out. So as you notice, we do have extra wiring. This is for a generator, which I am not using. So I'm just gonna kind of tuck those away, and let's see. I'm gonna make my connections from the grid. Let's see, middle here, line 1, line 2 for the grid. AC out will go here and here. This is to feed a sub panel. Make my connections for the neutral, ground will go up, and battery, let's see, I think I said I was missing one lug here. I forgot, maybe five something to get that one on tight. Where is it? So negative will mount here, or if you have a shunt, I don't have that part, you can add different little devices, energy meter there. Negative here, positive goes here. I need to get better connections for my negative. I think this one's 3/8, my battery, 2 gauge, 5/16. So I can make my positive connection, but I can't make my negative unless I go here up top somewhere, which from the instructions, you're not supposed to go anywhere else but the main shunt here. So let's see what else I can do before I get batteries going. All right, so one part I'm not gonna plug in just yet, but I'll show you. This is the battery temperature sensor, super long cord. It's gonna go up top here. You plug it in, and you can run it through the grommet out to your batteries, however far you have it. And it looks like it's a good 15, maybe 20 foot line. So 15 to 20 foot of line, just your regular pot telephone data transfer. All right, so hopefully this works and everything comes up as intended. Doing a little test run, got some batteries connected here. I thought I knew what parallel batteries were. So if this goes right, you don't connect to the same battery in line with where you are. You're gonna connect from the opposite end. So the problem I think I was going with was I was wiring negative to negative, positive to positive, and only connecting off the top end here. So I was getting an error that was putting my BMS lithium batteries in protect mode. They were actually reading overcharge. So right now I'm gonna fire up the DC connects to hopefully be able to see that this inverter is getting power. The modules here turn on, the Mate 3S. I was getting lights up top here, and they would come on for a split second. You would hear something and then nothing else. But I think it was just the batteries protecting themselves. If I don't get a power right away, it just means I need to recycle my switch up here. Inverter on, if it's not in on position already, you're gonna disconnect the jumper there. I think they call it J3 or something like that. So disconnect, put it back on. It's gonna read into an on state. So hitting my switches, let's look for any lights or errors. Cut on. Where is my display? Come on. Definitely the furthest I've got. We need to troubleshoot a little bit more. Why is my Mate 3S not turning on? Still have lights. Am I missing a connection? Or is it in standby mode? Let's find out. Let's see, where is my tweezers? All right, so, thanks. I'm gonna actually use these little crimpers here. Here, you're gonna go right here. So taking it off, putting it back on. It's supposed to give us the display. So off, on, here we go. Is it in the on state? I got an extra LED here. See, inverter, nothing. Huh. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit more troubleshooting, but this is the farthest that I've gotten so far. And let's find out why my Mate isn't turning on. Found my problem. I was actually connected into the data port on the left side, and you need to be plugged into the right side. So we have display on. I'm excited about this. I did have one battery that kicked into protect mode. It just does that because it thinks it's overcharged. So up top here, my batteries are reading 52.8 volts. I'm happy with that. I have a few more to kick in. Ooh, let's see, should I turn the grid on? I actually don't have all of my wiring in, I don't think. Let's see, top is AC bypass. Bottom is for the grid from the batteries. So let's see what we get. The next step in the rotation is to actually power on, which one is it? Ooh, I think it was the top one here. So let's go down here. This is for, ooh, no, actually, AC from the grid was this one here. So I'm gonna turn on from the breaker. So power on. And power's coming in here. Next was, this actually back feeds into, which one is it? The top one, which is here. Is that right? Oh no, it's the next one, which is top. So this one. No changes there. We have power here, power going from the grid. Oh, that's my AC out. So I'm going 0 kilowatts. So this is the next one I need to turn on in line here. Ooh, let me get some focus. So this one here, this is for the grid. So grid is reading 228 volts, 27, 28. I'm happy with that. Ooh, got some more lights up top here. Let's see, batteries charged for a little bit. Looks like it was charging 0.1 kilowatts. Oh. I'll have to read more about what all this is going on, but I'm excited that I have power, that I have connections, that I have everything going, my AC input. I need to download the software to be in grid tied mode. That way I'm actually selling power back from the bank here. I still need to find my wiring. I think I'm just gonna do 10 gauge thin wiring to the AC input as I couple this. And I'm gonna clean all this up. This is, of course, just a test run, waiting on my wires to come in, hopefully tomorrow. And this will either be stringed on to this video or another video that I add. Let's go through just to see what we have here. Inverter, status, ACN. I always have low voltage, high voltage, it's all over the place. We frequently get blackouts, so this is gonna help, of course, keep the lights on. AC out 228. I need to program the batteries. I'll get to all that, but let's see, AC, inverter, on, off, let's go back. Batteries 0.1 kilowatts. I need to read what all this is. So charger status, control on. This will actually work. I'm gonna adjust my battery absorb and float to specifics of these EG4 batteries. Charger mode, what does that mean? Bulk float enabled, I like that. Equalizer charged, I definitely like that. Equalizer disabled. Don't have a generator, charger, let's see, events, lock top. I've heard this was supposed to be like a scroll wheel, but maybe it's not. What's the center button do? Nothing, go back to home. Let's do AC input. So AC input, select is grid. AC input mode is use. I think that will, ooh, let's cycle through, let's see. Oh no, AC input, use, manual, no idea what all this is. This doesn't move. Top, what? I have to figure out which buttons I'm supposed to be using. Ooh. And I shouldn't have been drinking. What is all this? And I can't use anything. A little confusing. All right, I'm gonna stop the video and try to figure some things out. We're gonna get into the menu. We hit lock. Default password is 141. We're gonna scroll 141, and then let's hit center. Settings. Ooh, I actually haven't got that far. So let's see. Click what we have here. System information, save, restore, optics, firmware. I do need to find out what firmware we're on. So we're on 004.007 and inverter is 006063. So I'm gonna compare that to what we have and what we need. Select. Ooh, something clicked in. Mini grid. I don't have any loads on here yet. So backup. What are we? Grid tied. So I already have that mode in. Transfer delay. Grid tied. Support. Voltage limit. 100 volts. Upper. Generator. Don't want that one. And you can hear it switching through. Lights are indicating there. Backup. This would be nice to have, say if you are experiencing any kind of power outages. Mini grid, I believe, is just gonna focus on your backup load. Since I have nothing on there, backup, yes, grid tied. I'm gonna cycle through grid 0, mini grid, grid 0. I'm gonna stop on grid tied.